Next subject is a very interesting one, and I'm sure you may have seen it in the press, is Casa de Mercat in Romanian, or cash registers. That's an old topic which is going on for more than a year, and finally it comes to the conclusion. The legislation has been passed on Friday. It's a ministerial order explaining how the connectivity to online of these cash registers will work. It explains the rules and explains the deadlines. So very briefly, the large taxpayers are supposed to be compliant with this legislation by 30th of September this year. So essentially, there are 3 more months to comply with this legislation and connect all the cash registers to the network. All other taxpayers have time to get compliant by 31st of January 2021. There are rules. I invite you to read the technical details, and well, in the next 3 months, of course, keep fingers crossed that everybody is up and running among the large taxpayers. So finally, we're having this the system up and running, which I think is a very, very big step in terms of digitalization of ANAF and actually compiling all this information for state budget purposes in a manner suitable for the 21st century. Okay. Now, let us move to the area of the future. What may happen, what kind of events we should be expecting in the next period. Some are very specific, some are of broader implications, some may affect us directly, some may affect us indirectly, but I think it's good to know them. First of all, I will mention about a draft emergency ordinance, which you may have seen circulated at the end of last week. There are various provisions about various, let's say, niche areas and niche industries about protecting them. I would mention just a couple of facilities that the government has considered, and we are expecting them to appear in the official gazette. So I'll mention them. First of all, the government proposed an extension until 25th of October of exempting from penalties those companies which didn't pay their taxes during the state of emergency. As you remember, the exemption from penalties was valid until 15th of June. Well, now it is being extended until 25th of October. Let us see it in the official gazette, but this is, I think it's a very important step in terms of another stimulus in effect offered by the government to the business community. Same extension until 25th of October will apply to companies who need VAT refund. As you may remember, the companies may receive VAT refund during the state of emergency without a tax audit. Normally, if you ask any money back, you need to call in tax inspection, they check you, and only after the tax inspection you receive the money. The rules changed, and essentially the rule became that you can get your VAT back without control. The control can come later on. For the moment, at this stage, this rule doesn't apply because we are not in the state of emergency, but the government decided to extend it until 25th of October. So once we see this new rule in the official gazette, then essentially, if you are exporting company, if you are in this situation of recovering VAT, you can apply for it, and very probably, with very few exceptions, you may get the VAT refund back quick, and the tax inspection will come later. Okay, there are a couple of, let's say, topics in the market which were not solved but may get solved. One of them is related to gift tickets, gift vouchers. It was a topic you may have read in the press, or you may have had an issue with it yourself at your company. Essentially, it is about the campaign by Anti-Fraud Division of ANAF, going after taxpayers and saying that the vouchers which were given by a company to benefit, let's say, employees of another company should be considered salary and taxed accordingly. There has been no rules how to proceed with taxation and reporting of this kind of gift vouchers, but it was a very widespread practice on the market. And there is, of course, a reason for this, because it is pretty tax-efficient tool, because at least Social Security contributions would not apply normally on a correctly given vouchers. So in this kind of legislative void and the confusion, there was, there still is quite an amount of cases with anti-fraud division making assessments and indicating that taxpayers proceeded wrongly without indicating how they were supposed to proceed. So this matter has been brought to the attention of the Prime Minister and of course the Minister of Finance, who knew about it, and they're working on a solution how to get it resolved so that anti-fraud division is actually spending in a more beneficial way their resources and their time, and taxpayers can also focus on their business, and the rules are being communicated to them how to behave. I think it's quite important. Another interesting topic relevant for large set of taxpayers is about deduction of bad debts in terms of sale. As you know, there are many industries where this is being practiced. It's in the banking industry, in the telecom industry, it's in utilities, when, for instance, you are dealing with large amount of let's say consumers or clients, and there are a certain amount of bad debts, and sometimes you need to sell these bad debts to professional debt recovery companies because you do not have the resources to, as a taxpayer, to recover all these smaller bad debts. So essentially you are selling it. There were certain restricted rules introduced several years ago, which essentially not allowing part of the loss to be deducted from the sale. That's a normal business transaction. There was certain reason used by the previous government which introduced this rule. Now, when you have a fiscal disincentive to offload your bad debts, of course, this can hinder, let's say, the recovery of your financials, and you are laden with these bad debts which you need to handle in some way, which is distracting you from the main purpose of your operations, be it telecom, be it banking, or utilities, or anything like that. So, of course, any relaxation of those is very welcome, and the government is willing to consider change rules and essentially allowing better deductibility of losses in terms of selling these bad debts. I think it's a very welcome development, which we have been waiting for a number of years, and we hope, despite the current difficult situation in the state budget, this initiative will pass in the next month. There is not a clear timeline, but at least the commitment of the government to get it done.